Hey everybody, this is Wolfenstorm coming at you live. Uh, so I know you guys probably saw my little Twitter message that I posted up a couple days ago, saying that I was going to be doing a video review sometime before the end of the week. I didn't have a lot of time to do it earlier, obviously, because this is Thanksgiving weekend, so things have been a little bit busy. But now that I am back home, and have access to my computer again, I figured I would fire this one off pretty quick because we have a couple things to go over. Namely, as you could see from the thumbnail, BBC has finally deigned it fit to drop for us the trailer for the festive special. Yes, it has been confirmed. It is definitely coming out on New Year's Day. Revolution of the Daleks. So we will be reviewing that. We will also be reviewing, I can't remember if I reviewed part 2 of Daleks. I think I only did just the first part. Part 2 and part 3 of the Daleks animated series. And issue number 1 of Doctor Who comic. Because apparently now the new writers of this comic book series have decided, who cares about a title, right? Doesn't need to be memorable, does it? Fuck it. But the reason why I'm reviewing this comic is because it is a team-up between the 10th Doctor and the 13th Doctor and Rose Tyler from an alternate timeline. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be giving it a second glance. But since Rose is definitely in it and so is 10, I really, really wanted to review this comic. I kind of had to debate whether or not I was going to review it issue by issue, or if I was going to wait till the whole series was done in its entirety and just review the whole thing in one fell swoop. But I would rather kind of keep you guys in suspense just a wee and do it issue by issue. There are 4 issues total. The first issue has already come out. Next one in December, and then followed by January and Feb. So the whole series will be complete by February of next year. I already have the series on back order from Comixology. Again, I will put that link in the description if you would like it. But for right now, we're going to be reviewing it issue by issue. So before we go any further, general housekeeping rules, as you know, help me keep on keeping on. Check me out on my social media in the description, which I will post. And don't forget, hit that button, smash that bell, like, subscribe, share, keep me going in the YouTube realms. The more you do, the more content I can send to you. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have not seen the Daleks animated series or have not seen the trailer for Revolution of the Daleks, I suggest you hit pause right now, go watch it, come back later, because as you guys very well know of me by now, this is not a spoiler-free blog. If there are spoilers, you will find them here. So, moving forward, a few little tidbits. A few little David Tennant tidbits. Currently still on location in Romania, shooting the remaining episodes of Around the World in 80 Days and looking fashionable doing it with that stash. If you can, there's a couple messages that David has dropped online, on Twitter, or at least his fan page has. The charity that he is a part of, for when he made a made-for-TV movie some years ago about a gentleman who had a brain injury, and because of his work with that film and working with people involved who have had injuries of that nature, he had become involved and a patron of a brain injury charity in BC called Headway Essex. It's been around forever. And he is a patron of them. So if you can, please, and you live in the BBC and you live in the UK, I'm not sure if it's open to people outside of the UK. I've never dealt with him personally, but as a patron, he is asking for donations for this Christmas, and it is their 35-year anniversary. So if you are one of the first 200 individuals to donate £35, you will get a signed card from him as a special gift. I'm sure that 200 people have already gone and done it because I mean, who doesn't want a signed card from David? But even if you're not one of the first 200, go and do it anyway. It's a good charity. It is it's important charity for a very important cause for some very, very needy people. Um, so please, if you have a chance, go and do that. I will also include the link for Headway Essex down there. I also know that David is doing a Christmas reading every year. Celebrities in UK get together and they do a Christmas, like a live Christmas reading sort of thing of different Christmas materials. Normally this would be a live thing that they always do, but obviously because of world stuff, they're going to be doing it via Zoom, I guess. And David is one of the participants. Um, I will leave the link for that too if you would like the opportunity to see that. I know that it's specifically in the UK, but I know you guys and I know you have your ways just like I do. So I will leave the link for information on that. Other than that, there's really not much David wise. He is pretty set in Romania right now, um, doing filming for Around the World in 80 Days. Oh, yes. I'm fairly certain this is only for UK people, but they are doing a Christmas pub quiz style thing on UK TV. I think. No, Zoom. They're doing it via Zoom, and it's different celebrities doing different topics according to like what they're most known for. And David and Georgia are doing one on December 16th, their own little pub quiz type thing on Doctor Who. So if you have the opportunity, it is totally free. You can sign up to be a part of um, a quiz team, and you can answer a whole bunch of questions about Doctor Who. I'm not sure what the prize is for if you win, but it's obviously probably going to be something cool, something Doctor Who-ish. If you can't become part of a team to do the pub quiz, you can always donate to the charity. There's a charity that's involved in this. That's why they do this like every year. So I will put a link for that. That's pretty much it for David news. As I said, he's pretty firmly right now filming around the world in 8 days, and will be continuing to do so until they are complete, or I guess they go on Christmas vacation. So, apart from that, let's segue into what this whole video is really about. So we're going to start with the big one. The big one. Yeah, I tell. Revolution of the Daleks. I know the fandom online has been clamoring for this trailer for ages because BBC has been notoriously bereft when it comes to advertising for it. And we were starting to wonder, or at least the fandom was starting to wonder what the hell is going on, because it's getting closer and closer and closer to Christmas. And they're like, come on, drop a trailer or something. You want people to watch, but you're not advertising zip zero zilch. And the only thing I could say is that they're concentrating more on Time Lord Victorious because that's the bigger seller. But I do get it because it is coming closer and closer. And in years past, they have advertised a lot more for their Christmas specials. Festive specials. So it is for certain this year. It will not be out on Christmas. It will actually be out on New Year's Day. I don't know why the BBC have decided to change that up. I think it has less to do with the BBC itself and more to do with the show and Chibnall just saying, I'm not writing any more episodes about Christmas because I can't pull anything else out of my ass that has snow and Santa Claus. So fuck it. Because if you didn't notice, towards the end of Moffat's run, his specials were becoming less and less about Christmas because there wasn't hardly anything left for him to write surrounding Christmas. It was getting more difficult. And I think that's why they started pulling it back. and putting it on to New Year's instead, so they wouldn't have to worry about focusing on Christmas, which I feel bad for because the Russell era Christmas specials were always so spectacular. Like they, he always managed to incorporate Christmas in it somehow. Even if it was a minor thing, it was still there and it set the ambiance for the whole episode. So I don't know, I just kind of feel bad that they want to do it like this. Their ratings right now are bad enough as it is. It's going to be even harder to get people to tune in. But anyway, so this episode takes place right where the last one left off. I think it's maybe a minor time jump of maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month. That's what it looks like based on the trailer. Uh, it looks like the Doctor is still imprisoned out in Jadoon prison somewhere in space and is trying to figure out a way to escape. Meanwhile, her companions, her fam, are stuck on Earth, and it looks like Ryan and Graham have kind of gone back to their lives while Yaz is firmly focused on where's the Doctor? Is she alive? How do we get her back? Whereas the other two, I mean, it's hard to tell, but if you look at the one of the first opening shots of the trailer, there is a shot of Yaz inside the console room of the. It's not the TARDIS. I won't call it the TARDIS because it's not our TARDIS. It's the other time capsule that they didn't steal it, but they escaped in during Thomas Child. Remember, there was three. There's the one that became a tree, the one that became a house, and the Doctors, which the Jadoon have. Uh, Yaz is in the one that is a house. It's disguised as a house. So it's obvious she's been in there for a while. There's post-it notes and papers and things tacked up on the walls, and it looks like she's doing research, and it feels like the other two are wondering if she's dissociated herself from reality. I think she is just set on trying to find. Maybe she's the one that doesn't believe the Doctor is dead or impossible to find. The other two just kind of gone on with their lives, I guess. It's funny considering how loyal that the Doctor's companions have always been known to be. All of a sudden, they're just like, eh. But I think that's kind of a setup because we've had it confirmed before this trailer even came out that it's definitely true. Chosen Cole and Bradley Walsh are definitely leaving after this special. Once the special's over, they will be leaving. So them not acting as enthused as her or as you know, not trying as hard as she's been to figure out what's going on with the Doctor kind of goes along with the idea of them wanting to go back to their normal lives. I'm sure we will see more of that nature. The other thing that was confirmed, which is probably the worst kept secret of BBC history, is that yes, Barrowman is back as Jack Harkness. We kind of knew this going all the way back to Fugitive of the Jadoon that he was going to be in there. And his presence in the trailer just confirmed it. I think he is going to be interacting more with the companions at first, and then he's going to help them find the Doctor so that they can deal with this Dalek issue. Now, let me focus on the Daleks for just a minute. Take a look at these. Yeah, we got problems. Okay. Jimnal decided he wanted to make a brand new Dalek design. So now we have neon Daleks. Great. I don't mind change-ups to the design because, I mean, the show has been on for 57 years. It can't be the same thing for 57 years. But there is a difference between minor aesthetic changes to keep the overall character fresh and completely redesigning it to where the character itself makes no sense and its effectiveness as a villain is crushed. One, if you look at the designs here, they are too small, for one, to house the Khalid that's supposed to be inside of it, the Dalek. Um, it would be, if you tried to put a Dalek inside the casing, because of how small the upper part is, it would be crushed completely inside. So right there, you have an issue. Uh, Two, I'm not entirely a fan of the neon. um, I think it kind of makes it a bit like a toy, kind of. And this is what causes it to lose its effectiveness. See, Russell knew how to alter the Daleks aesthetically in minor ways, but still allowed the evilness of the Daleks to speak for itself. He didn't alter it so much that it wound up looking like a toy. He didn't alter it so much that that it defied logic to how this creature is supposed to work. And he certainly didn't alter it to where now apparently the human race has designed these Dalek drones, which is fucking impossible because they are a product of technology of the far future. And planet Earth, I don't care how much Torchwood or alien tech they've been able to scramble up, would not have the technology to build one of these things. Now, maybe if they managed to get their hands on the one garbage dump looking Dalek from last year's Christmas special and they kind of reverse engineered it, possibly. But even that's a stretch because, as I said, that Dalek was a bit of a garbage dump looking Dalek. It literally had to piece itself together from broken ass pieces and shit. So, not a very effective design. So, how Earth scientists could possibly reverse engineer these from that? I don't know. I had a very long Twitter discussion today with a lot of people online about uh, how humanity could not remember what the Daleks are. Now, I know that Moffat wrote that Deus Ex Machina into Series 5, where that crack in time made it so that everybody forgot Stolen Earth and Journey's End and Army of Ghosts and Doomsday and all that mess. And even the end of time. They've just forgot the whole shebang. But I also know that at the end of it, when he rebooted the universe and fixed it, that they were supposed to get those memories back. And yet, in, what was it? Well, they say a good man goes to war or something? Where they, that episode where they're going up against Winston Churchill, who has his own Dalek, apparently that's been found during World War II. They didn't realize it was evil. I can't remember if that was season 5, season 6. No, yeah, it was season 5, episode 3. This was before he had revamped the universe so that people would remember what Daleks were. Oh my god. Why, Moffat? Why? Why? You just had to write the Deus Ex Machina in there to make everybody forget that Russell ever even existed. And that kind of clean slated everything so that they could make up their own story for how the Daleks were supposed to begin, which is just 15 million shades of wrong. So in this trailer, apparently the human race or the Prime Minister of the UK, I guess they're patterning her after Theresa May, which is really a slap in the face to Harriet. Oh my God, is that a slap in the face to Harriet? So, um, they decide to create these Daleks as protection drones and as a military force of sorts. And wow, what do you think happens? Yeah, they turn on them because they're fucking Daleks. And if the human race had any brains whatsoever and any memory of what had happened before, they would never have done this in a million years. Well, apparently Chibnall had nothing left to steal and pick apart from Russell, because he took all of Russell's juiciest bits. He was like, well, I picked Russell clean. Might as well move on to Moffat. Start picking at his bones. What do you think he did? It's a retread of A Good Man Goes to War. God. Wow. Same old thing. Doctor is confronted by a Dalek. He knows that it's evil. Nobody else knows that it's evil. He has to convince them that it's evil. They don't think he's telling the truth. Wow. It destroys everything. And A Good Man Goes to War was in itself a retread of a far superior episode, Dalek. I swear, this show, I feel like the show is sinking itself. Or maybe Chibnall just doesn't care anymore. Not that he ever did. Well, there isn't much to see. We've got companions. We've got Chris Noth making a return as faux Trump dude. For what reason, I have no idea. I feel bad for Chris Noth. He deserves better. He is a stellar actor who way deserves better than this garbage. And of course, we have Jack. That's the worst part of it, because I love Jack. I truly, truly do. He's one of my favorite characters. And I feel like he's being done a disservice. Because when they shoehorned him in, and let's be real, he was shoehorned in to Fugitive of the Jadoon, he never got to interact with the Doctor at all. He was there for like 5 minutes. The companions had no idea who the fuck he was. And the majority of the fan base that continues to watch this era, I'm not saying all, I know there are still some long-time fans that still watch. But for the majority of the newer fans that watch this era, they don't even know who Jack is. So, because Chibnall was unable to give him a proper reason for being there, and was literally using him as a plot device instead of, writing a decent story behind why he's there in the first place, throwing him in there was not effective whatsoever. None. None. So what he's doing in this special, what, does that mean he's just going to be an hour-long plot device? I feel bad because Barrowman doesn't deserve it. And Jack certainly doesn't. Jack is worth more than just, being some ridiculous plot device. I don't know if he's there because he knows the Doctor's been in prison and he's trying to convince the companions to break her out, or if he's there to help them with the Daleks. Look, I remember Stolen Earth, and I will never forget that scene where they were analyzing the signal from this unknown entity up in space, and they didn't know what it was. They just knew it was some big ship. And you had 3 screens. You had Martha, you had Sarah Jane, and you had Jack. Each one of them had their own personal experiences with the Daleks. Each one of them knew the horrors of what the Daleks were capable of. I mean, Jesus, Jack himself died because of them. So they intimately understood how bad shit was gonna get. That moment when they finally managed to hear the signal and get the message of whatever the entity was saying, and you just heard one word: exterminate. The reactions on their faces when they realized that it was the Daleks, it was like their whole world had just collapsed. Even Jack, who was immortal, who cannot die, knows that there's nothing he can do to save anybody. Sarah Jane is in tears because she was there when they were created. She knows what Davros is. She knows what these things are. And even Martha, who's only actually interacted with them once in New York in the 30s, and even though it was just the four, she's terrified. That scene will never leave me. To this day when I watch it, it's chills, just chills, because you can feel the emotion through that screen. You can feel it. You can feel their fear, their terror, that, oh my God, it's the Daleks, we're all going to die. Then you look at this trailer, and you see the three of them, the fam, lined up going, Daleks, yeah man, got to do something about the Daleks, yeah man. Really? This is what we get? I don't even think the three of them have ever dealt with a Dalek outside of last year's Christmas special. And that was just one Dalek. And that was a shitty Dalek to boot. That's not even a Dalek at full force. That's nothing. Is she explaining to them just how villainous and how evil the Daleks really are, like, at all? Explain the concept of the time war? I mean, any of it? No. No? Okay. They have no concept of what they are walking into. None. Oh boy. Oh boy. I wish I could feel that emotion for a Doctor Who episode again. I really, really do. Chibnall does not know how to develop characters well enough to make you give a shit. That's the problem. You want to feel for these people. You want to feel their fear and be scared with them, and, you want to feel everything that they feel. You want to identify with them. But you just can't when all they do is stare at a screen and go, okay, well, that's about as much information as we have about Revolution of the Daleks so far. So, UK government creates them, reverse engineers them, something like, and of course the Daleks turn on them. Big fucking surprise. So we got to get the Doctor back. The fam got to figure out some way to stop the Daleks from destroying the planet. Yeah. Yeah. Last time some shit like this happened, you know what it took? A fucking biological meta crisis. I wonder how they're going to do it this time. I don't think she's got a handy spare hand. She doesn't even have a TARDIS. Anyhow, moving on. Next review. Daleks animated series 2 and 3. In the second episode, they barely managed to escape the archive where they were at, but whatever the archivist did, some sort of green glowing entity is now following them. So the Daleks are trying to outrun it. They go on to Skaro thinking they'll be safe there, but they're not. Skaro is pretty much decimated by this entity. So they the few Dalek ships that remain, including the Dalek Emperor and the Strategist, they leave Skaro and they go to another planet which has I guess, a hive of Daleks. There's like a frozen Dalek army that's been buried there for a very long time. I guess it's their reserve, just in case something happens on Skaro and they need more Daleks. So the strategist goes to awaken them, and he comes into contact with the little robot guy that's in charge of the place. And the robot guy leads him in there and shows him, here's the beautiful Dalek army, blah, blah, blah. And they're wonderful, but the thing is, what he doesn't realize is that it was supposed to be the Emperor that's in charge of the army, but the robot has made it so that the strategist is now in charge of the army. That's not something that he's prepared for. But he doesn't really have time to think about it because the entity has followed them there too. And now they have to escape. So he tells the army to rise and to take flight so they can defend themselves and defend the Emperor. But they realize that there is no way out, that the entity is going to destroy them all. So in order to save the Emperor and to save themselves, the strategist blows up the entire hidden army. And that's the end of that planet and that hidden army. So that's part 2. It's very much like part 1. The animation is, the storyline, I still don't know where this is going or how it relates to Time Lord Victorious, but I guess as the episodes go on, we'll figure it out. So in part 3, what's left of the Daleks being the strategist and the Emperor, and that small crew, they head to the mechanoid planet trying to get help. And the funny thing is, it's really funny, the interactions between the leader of the mechanoids and the Daleks, because the Daleks are trying to convince them that they want an alliance because of that thing that's after them. The mechanoids aren't stupid. They know that the Daleks are only doing this because they're desperate. And the best part about this is how Nick Briggs goes about trying to get the Dalek to explain that they want an alliance. It's fantastic how the Dalek's voice kind of hitches a bit before he's able to say it, because you could tell if a Dalek could throw up in its mouth, it would have been doing it right then. Having to ask the mechanoids for help and for an alliance, because that's something that Daleks don't ever do. And then having to say that, we recognize the beauty of the mechanoids and that they must be protected at all costs. Can you ally with us, please? It was, let's just say, Nick Briggs deserves all the awards. Definitely the highlight. So the Emperor and the leader of the mechanoids go into the main mechanoid dome and they're discussing. She's not stupid. She knows what he's all about. But she doesn't realize that whatever this entity is followed them. So the other Daleks are sitting around out there with the other mechanoids, and they just start going at it. The mechanoid leader is trying to tell the Daleks that they will never understand the true beauty of the stars and of the mechanoid world and everything that they've created, because the Daleks don't recognize that. They don't understand beauty. All they care about is extermination and death and blah, blah. And while this is happening, the Daleks outside are fighting with the mechanoids. I don't know why they started fighting each other. I guess the Daleks were sparked off because they thought the mechanoids were going to harm the Emperor Dalek, so they do what they always do. And so they're just killing each other. And by the end of it, it's pretty much just the strategist and the Emperor is all that's left, along with the leader of the mechanoids. And just as the episode ends, the entities, he's like, I brought the entity with me. You're asking for help from them, but you brought the thing with you? Like, what? Still, this story makes no sense. Still, there's nothing that ties this to Time Lord Victorious. I can only assume that as we get further into the episodes, we will understand more. But again, the animation is quite subpar. I wish they had farmed this out to another company. Perhaps a Japanese company or something that could have animated it better. Oh well. Okay, the next thing we'll be reviewing is Doctor Who comic number 1. That's all I can call it because apparently the people who have decided to write this comic for Titan Comics decided they didn't want to give it a title. So now it's just Doctor Who comic 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want your comic to be memorable. In order for a comic to be memorable, it needs a goddamn title. That's all I'm going to say. It needs a motherfucking title. But I suppose it can be memorable for the covers. There's 4 covers for this first one. I chose the one that I thought was the best. You can only see a tiny part of the 13th Doctor, her jacket in the corner. So this comic is a team up between the 13th Doctor and the 10th Doctor. It's directly leading off of the last team up that they did together, which was in 1969, and them dealing with the Weeping Angels and the Cybermen. So once they dealt with that, they went their respective ways. But when they went home to their current time streams, everything was off. Nothing made sense. The 13th Doctor went home to 2020, and the 2020 that she went to is like a total mess. It's absolutely looks like a disaster zone. Nothing makes any sense, and she's like, "Uh-oh, I might have done a little screw up." I don't know how them dealing with the Cybermen and the Weeping Angels caused a paradox of that nature, but apparently they made a paradox. So I believe that's why she goes to wherever the 10th Doctor is dealing with the Daleks in the beginning of Time Lord Victorious, and she rescues him from Scarrow and brings him back because she needs his help. Obviously, they caused this, now they have to fix it. So they wind up in an alternate, not an alternate universe, but an alternate timeline where whatever they did has caused events to completely shift, meaning that they are now in a timeline where the Earth has been completely taken over and inhabited by the Sea Devils, which is a classic Doctor Who villain. I will say that the artwork in this one is better in some places. The artwork for the villains themselves is very good. The artwork for Rose is good. Unfortunately, the artwork for the Doctors, not so good. Still irritated with whoever is drawing for 10. He sucks. Fix it. Darker colors. Stop with the pinks and the purples and the blues. Darker colors. This isn't a Barbie comic. This is Doctor Frickin' Who. And stop giving the 13th Doctor that freaking scrunch face and the mouth. Come on. She looks ridiculous. Anyhow, you don't really see the 10th Doctor till closer to the end, but the Femme and the 13th Doctor are in this alternate timeline, and they're trying to figure out what the hell has happened. Why have the Sea Devils taken over the planet? She has to explain to the Femme, because they don't fucking know, that the Sea Devils were one of the original inhabitants of Earth, and that, as time wore on, they went into the sea, and humans, like the Silurians, went underground, the Sea Devils went into the sea, and then humans, took over the Earth. But the Sea Devils don't like that. They've never liked it, and now they're trying to, apparently they have reasserted their dominance and taken over the planet. So humanity is now reduced to being slaves, and killed whenever they step out of line. Um, they're pretty much the workhorse, and they're suffering greatly for it. There's small, compact resistance groups that are trying to rise up against the Sea Devils, one of which is led by, you guessed it, your girl and mine, Defender of the Earth, Rose Tyler. Well, an alternate timeline, Rose Tyler. It is interesting when they are walking around the city and they see, it literally looks like some Mad Max shit. Like buildings are blown up and places post-apocalyptic. People are suffering, being beaten, dying. The funny thing is that the fam just kind of like they don't let anything affect them. There's this one scene where they make it into a domicile of sorts. Like they come up against the Sea Devils and a group of humans, and they get in with the group to find out where the Sea Devils are based at, and they're shoved with the rest of the humans in this like domicile place. It's kind of like a wherever the slaves live, or should I say survive. It's a very crappy place. It's walls are paint's peeling off the walls. It's stone. It's cold. It's dreary. It's dark. The beds are nasty. Tiny bunk beds. People are scared. People are, everything is a mess. So when they walk in there, the fam is just kind of like, huh, okay. Like, you literally saw the Sea Devils shooting people outside, beating them in the street, and making them into slaves. This has no effect on you whatsoever? Like, zero? None? Honestly, it's like they are living, breathing planks of wood. Nothing affects these people. You can even see it in the way that they're drawn on the page. Like, nothing affects them. So while that's going on, the 13th Doctor sees someone she recognizes there and is absolutely shocked. She sees Pete and Jackie Tyler are there. Of course, it's an alternate timeline, Jackie Tyler. Now, this timeline, if Pete Tyler's there, it must mean it stretches way back to before Rose was even born. So, obviously, the Sea Devils have been there for a long time. So, Pete never died at that wedding when Rose was a baby. So, her family is still alive. But she has been, I guess, separated from them somehow. Well, because she's a part of the resistance, I'm assuming that it's a self-imposed separation because she doesn't want to be around them because she's afraid that, if the Sea Devils know who she is, that her parents might be in danger if she's too close. So she intentionally is keeping herself away. Anyhow, the 13th Doctor's like, what? How are you? What the? Huh? Pete and Jackie talk. What? So she doesn't know what to do. She's like, how are you? What? How are you here? What in the world is what? What? And right after that, you get the final page of the comic is Rose sitting there on her mattress looking at a picture of Pete and Jackie, promising them that she will find them again soon. And as she does that, you hear the vorp vorp of the TARDIS, but it's not the 13th Doctor's TARDIS. It's the 10th Doctor's TARDIS. He shows up and he busts out of the doors and he just kind of looks at her for a second. And he goes, Rose Tyler. But you're a Rose Tyler who doesn't know who I am. If you don't know who I am, that's a big problem. So, yeah, that's pretty much the first edition, the first issue of that comic. It's kind of a setup of the situation, basically, that they are all stuck in an alternate timeline where the Sea Devils have completely taken over the planet, and now the two doctors have to set it straight with Rose's help, apparently. So I guess the other 3 issues will continue on in that vein. I'm really excited because I want to see the interactions between the 10th Doctor and Rose. I don't even mind the 13th Doctor there because I think she might have, because she's older and has been through so much now, more uh, since being the 10th incarnation of herself. I think she might have some advice to give him that he might not have taken from anyone else because she's at least 1,000 years older than where the 10th Doctor is. So I think she has a much greater understanding of her own headspace and her own feelings regarding Rose. I think it would be interesting if they had a conversation about it. Um, I I feel there is no way that you could get away with this comic without the 10th Doctor and Rose having a conversation. It saddens me that she does not know him, but I think that by the end of this comic, she will feel the same way for him as any Rose would for any Doctor. I don't think there would be any difference in that because it's them. It doesn't matter what timeline she's in. I think she would ultimately feel the same way for him no matter what. The sad thing is that if they fix it, that timeline will no longer exist and he'll lose her again. But if they're smart, because this is one of those things where it won't adversely affect him and it won't adversely affect her. Because as I said, once this is over with, the timeline won't exist anymore. He can tell her the things he wants to tell her, the things he couldn't tell his Rose, and unburden himself and find a closure that he hasn't been able to find. He can tell her those things and it won't fuck things up. He can finally say the things that he's wanted to say to her. Granted, she might not feel the same way, but at least he'll be able to get it off his chest. And maybe the 13th Doctor will kind of move him to do that and be like, look, I've had a long time to think about this too. I have just as much regrets as you do. But you don't have a lot of time left. This could be your one and only chance. I know you don't. She doesn't know who you are as well as your Rose. I know she doesn't know you the way that your Rose does, or our Rose, but she's still Rose. So try, talk to her. Get it off your chest. Say the things that you want to say. Maybe she might not understand it, but at least you'll be able to say those things, and it won't adversely affect timelines or anything because this timeline's not going to exist after this is done. This is your one shot. You know, I cannot conceive that they would do this series and not confront this issue. I mean, you cannot bring her back in and not have something be said. I mean, it would be a total waste. A total waste. Especially when you consider the where he is in his time stream. I think this 10th Doctor is somewhere where he's supposed to be traveling with Martha. Possibly. Maybe. So he's still kind of a mess about it all. So, hey, options. Anyway, so that's it for review. Next month, as I said, we will continue with more Time Lord Victorious stuff shortly, because I know at least by next week, because it'll be December, we will have more Time Lord Victorious stuff. All Flesh is Grass, Minds of Magnox, Echoes of Extinction. The last one, as I said in the last video, it was supposed to be out in December, but they had to push it back. It will not be released until February, but that's okay. We will review it when it comes out. So that is it for me. I will see you guys hopefully next week with some more Time Lord Victorious reviews. And y'all y'all have a good night, a good Thanksgiving holiday, and peace out. Talk to you later.
Good night.